Alright, YouTube, welcome back to another video, and this time this will be the first in what I hope to be an annual layout overview slash tour and a little bit about me. So how I got into modeling, why I picked this era, that sort of thing. I'm going to split this into two parts. I don't know whether it'll be two videos or yet, probably will, part one and part two. But let's start off with a little bit about me, and then for part two we're going to go on a layout tour slash overview. That's probably going to be a long one, so that might be both. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out when I get to the editing. Anyways, like I said, a little bit about me. So, I got into this when I was 3, and started out with Brio, and then went up to Thomas, and then HO scale when I was 10. And the first 3 F units I got, Union Pacific, Athearn Blue Box, I still have them. Well, first thing we got was a Civil War train set from Bachman that didn't work. The cheap Bachman, that's junk. And then we couldn't get it to work, so Pops took it back and he swapped it for a giant box of Easy Track, 3 Union Pacific F7 units, which I have, and will someday get working headlight, Mars light, marker lights, and tsunamis. Our wow sound or lock sound, but those 3 units in passenger cars. And I'm going to keep all that, definitely. A little bit of nostalgia. And because I'm a Union Pacific fan anyways. But, so the passenger cars are out here on the layout. You'll see them as we go around. And then for Hawkins passenger equipment, since I got photos, I'm going to build that out with probably some Spectrum, the new Spectrum stuff with lights in it and everything. But so that's the stages. And then as far as what got me hooked, I've always had the bug. We used to live in Hutchinson, Kansas. And downtown, we go downtown shopping or whatever, getting jeans or whatever. And all stores we went to were right between grade crossings. And I could stand outside any one of those stores and just watch the trains go by. It was Union Pacific at one end. And like there was a street, and then half a block over was a yard office. And there'd usually be a switcher or idler or something sitting there idling. And then the other side, a couple blocks, the district, the group of stores, on the other side of the group of stores was the Santa Fe Transcontinental Main Line, which at the time I didn't know, because it's just train tracks. But every time we go downtown, I'd watch and watch. And I remember laying in bed at night and going to sleep with hearing the whistles. Another big memory I have that hooked me onto this, we would take vacations and we would go on tourist railroads everywhere. I know we went on the Black Hills Central. I'm pretty sure we went on another one in Colorado. There was one down in, we've been on the Branson Scenic like 3 times. I want to say there was another one down there, or maybe North Carolina. I don't remember where it was, but it was steam. I remember that. And then it was another one. We finished the run, and the motive power was a Jeep 10. Now that I know how to identify engines, I get the picture seared in my mind. That's what it was. But we finished up. The guy took me up in the cab and let me blow the horn. That was so you can imagine what that did. Besides, bursting my eardrums. And this wasn't the modern electronic ones. This was, the good old-fashioned Leslie SL3 or whatever they are. And then the one other memory that's really stuck in my mind is a cousin of mine worked for BNSF in somewhere in Nebraska. I almost want to say Omaha, but I can't remember. But what made the trip memorable was he took me over there, gave me a tour of the yard, and then afterwards we went up into the dispatch tower, and one of the yard guys, and this was before 9/11 and all the restrictions, for those stupid terrorists. Hey, real thing, it'd be so much easier. But anyways, we went up there and the guy told me what to say and I basically cleared the freight. And it was a modern dispatcher center. So, I'm 6 years old. I walk in. 6-year-old walks in and he sees these giant computer screens with the track schematics and the lights and everything. And, oh, whoa. That was like, the whole world is a mind blown thing. So that's the things that stand out as getting me really hooked on it. And then there's a train club in Hutch that we visited briefly, and that probably solidified my interest in realistic scenery, and that's probably what gave me an idea of a modular layout. And it was probably the trip up to the dispatching center that got me thinking, man, what is all this schematics and everything? That's probably what got me started on signaling and CTC. So that's the influences. And at first I was doing everything. And I realized if I am ever possibly going to get a decent semblance of a layout, I need to narrow it down a lot. So I started looking up eras, and I've been getting my railroader since I was 3. And we'd go to Barnes & Noble and I would just skim through, good night, Rail Fan Railroad, Rail Mall, Craftsman, trains, classic trains, Garden, especially classic trains. It's probably the classic trains that got me so hooked on the 50s. But I gradually got it narrowed down and got it down to the 50s and then 54. And right now it is 1954 to 56. And the only reason it's up to 56 is because I've got the very early TOFC flats on it. That's the one thing I did want to have, because most people probably don't know this, but TTX started in 1953. But at that time it was 1 or 2 railroads, and it was individual railroads doing it. They weren't sharing equipment or anything. TTX didn't actually get officially organized until 54, and that's when it started. And then it wasn't until like 55 or 56 you started getting, unit trains of just trailers run through. So I just had to have that, so that's why the era is up to 56. But for the most part, all my equipment is what would have been there in 1954, and it's weathered appropriately, which is another big thing that at this point I'm getting really close to having all the freight cars that I can weathered, minus the stuff that I gotta repaint or re-decal and re-letter. So that's how I got into it. Again, any questions about anything I say in these videos about the layout, control systems, how I got into it, something you want me to go into further, post it in the comments and I will reply ASAP. I love hearing from you guys. But this is, like I said, this is yearly, and I'm doing this mainly because you go through the year and it's easy to get caught up in all the little stuff. A freight car weathered here, some scenery there. You get caught up in the little stuff and it's easy to forget, oh yeah, this is the vision I got stuck in my head that I'm trying to recreate. It's easy to get quagged down in the little stuff and lose track of the overall goal, if that makes any sense. So that's why I'm doing this, both for that, so new people can see this and say, okay, this is the layout, this is where he is, they aren't lost. Wait, what's this from? And then it's also for me, so I can go back and say, oh, it didn't seem like I was getting anything done, but I was. So that's a little bit about me. Quick stats for the train layout. Main portion right here is 4x8. If I had to move into an apartment or something, this is what would go with me. It's got a continuous run connection on there for a loop, so not perfect, but it works. And the reason this is the main is because this model's Logan, Ohio on the Hawking. And this was the nerve center for basically all the coal mining. Well, actually, you know what? Let me get a book on it, and I'll be right back.